it's a lot of relief for them.
U.S. officials reinstate visas for some San Diego international students after court challenges. What's next for these students?
I think Emery would love to see that everybody cares for her.
The community remembers a young girl killed in a crash.
God be with you, my brother. You served well, Butch.
San Diegans share their experiences from Vietnam 50 years later. Plus, a weeks-long closure impacting train passengers starting today. It's 6 a.m. on Monday, April 28th, and you're up with CBS 8.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us here at 6 a.m. I'm Chris Grow.
And I'm Netta Irampour. Glad you're starting your week off with us. Let's get a check of that forecast. Little drizzle, it looked like out there. I don't know, I was surprised to see this wet driveway.
Yeah. You're right. It was damp out there from about 3 to 5 a.m.
Okay.
The last hour, things have been quieting down a little bit, but don't be too surprised if you head out the door and notice some wet roads this morning associated with a dense layer of clouds. That's the marine layer that has surged back onshore. Some showers out over the mountains too, and then mainly along the coast, those showers have been close to downtown San Diego, and those clouds are going to stick around for another couple hours, so don't expect them to be partying anytime soon. But by the time we get to about 9, 10 a.m., that seems to be the time frame that will start to transition toward a little bit more sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-60s this afternoon, a little bit cooler than average on those highs. Tomorrow through the end of the week, we should be in the upper 60s and low 70s by the coast, and that'll give us a more notable warming trend in the forecast. So we'll talk about what the rest of the week looks like in just a few, also talking about that next chance for rain, which could be toward this upcoming weekend. Back to you.
Evan, thank you very much. We do want to start now with breaking news. The Kremlin just declared a temporary ceasefire in Ukraine from May 8th through the 10th. This is to mark 80 years since the defeat of Nazi Germany.
And this just hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin thanked North Korea for its help in the war. Over the weekend, President Trump suggested progress after meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He also hinted at new sanctions on Russia following missile attacks in Kyiv.
This morning, the Trump administration backtracking on its decision to terminate the status of thousands of students studying here in the United States.
And some of those students attend San Diego State and UC San Diego. CBS 8's Regina Yarita is live at San Diego State with reaction from an immigration attorney. Regina, what are they telling you?
Well, Chris and Netta, I can tell you first that the UC San Diego and San Diego State University confirmed with us that some international students have been reinstated their visas after being taken away just a month ago. But now we know that about 35 student visas that were terminated have been 18 of them have been reactivated in UC San Diego as of Friday, but 17 are still in terminated status, while SDSU confirmed 3 of 4 students have had their visas reactivated. Now, since March, as mentioned, more than 1,200 international student visas had been revoked nationwide, often without the students or their schools being notified. But on Friday, federal officials announced the U.S. government was reversing the termination of legal status for international students after many filed court challenges against the Trump administration. Many of these students were under the SEVIS system, the Student Exchange Visitor Information System, which is a program run by the Department of Homeland Security that allows international students to remain in the United States. According to the Associated Press, some students had been targeted for pro-Palestinian activism or criminal infractions. They were stripped from these visas nationwide and received orders from the Department of Homeland Security to leave the country immediately. But here's what immigration attorneys are saying about this now.
See that the courts are willing to draw a line, that this is essentially executive branch overreach.
And immigration attorneys are also saying that not only are the students who filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, not only are they going to have their visas reactivated, but also everyone else who had their student visas revoked within the past 2 months. For now, I'll send it back to you.
Regina, thank you for that. This morning, there's a growing memorial at an Encinitas elementary school for a 12-year-old girl killed while crossing the street. At Parkdale Lane Elementary School, a sign right there reads, "We'll miss you, Emery, fly high." That sign surrounded by flowers, stuffed animals, pictures, drawings. This crash happened about 6:45 Friday night at the intersection of Encinitas Boulevard and Village Square Drive. The sheriff's office says 2 cars crashed. One of them struck the young girl. as she walked on the crosswalk.
Really kind and funny. She had a lot of humor, and she was just a really kind person.
So heartbreaking to hear what happened to Emery. Both drivers stayed on the scene of the crash, and drugs or alcohol not believed to be factors there. Counselors will be on site at the school today.
And this morning, San Diego police are investigating a homicide and a robbery in the Skyline neighborhood. It all started with a report of shots fired on Skyline Drive around 8:30 yesterday morning. While responding, officers say they received reports about an armed robbery at a liquor store on South Meadowbrook Drive. Officers spotted a man matching a description from the robbery nearby and tried to stop him, but he ran to a backyard. That's when officers requested additional resources, including SWAT and a police helicopter.
It was overhead. That's our helicopter. They saw the subject in the backyard in the nude, manipulating a handgun. Eventually, they gave orders for that man to come out and surrender. He did. He tossed that handgun and redressed and came outside and surrendered to officers.
Officers then did a safety sweep of the home after they spotted blood near the front door. Inside, they found a man in his 50s with a gunshot wound. Medics rushed him to the hospital where he later died. The suspect was identified as 35-year-old Adrian Godinez. Police say it looks like he lived with the victim. No word yet if they are related. And the woman accused of murdering her CAL FIRE captain wife is back in court today. Yolanda Marodi pleaded not guilty last month. Prosecutors say she killed Rebecca Marodi in their Ramona home in February. They say she then fled to Mexico, where she was arrested and extradited back to the U.S. Yolanda faces 25 years to life in prison if convicted. And today, the 47-year-old man accused of fatally stabbing a 26-year-old last week in El Cajon is appearing in court for the first time. It happened Thursday morning on North 1st Street near Main Street. Upon arriving, El Cajon police found Jacquees Holiday suffering from gunshot wounds. Hours later, Terrell Gibbs surrendered to police and was charged with murder. Police say the two men knew each other and got into an argument before the shooting.
A heads up now to train passengers. Starting today, all rail service between Oceanside and San Clemente is suspended. So if this is part of your route, listen here. This is expected to last for about 6 weeks. Crews are starting emergency construction to stabilize parts of the track that are severely damaged by landslides and coastal erosion. Those impacted will have to take a bus to the Mission Viejo station from the Oceanside station. Okay, as far as weather is concerned today, do you think we'll get some more drops on our
I think we should get a few more in the morning between about now and maybe 9 a.m. and then things will taper off completely. And then for mornings to come, we could still see another couple showers in the forecast that we'll be watching for, mainly thanks to this dense marine layer. Thank you to our photographer, Julio, who's out getting some beauty shots of San Diego County. You notice the damp roads there as we start off the day, too. That's going to be the biggest hindrance as you kick off the morning. And you can see how those showers have popped up and are still popping up. Here are a few more that are right off of the ocean that are moving on shore, just about to encounter the 5 freeway during morning commute time. So expect this to be kind of a showery morning commute for the most part. By the time we get to the afternoon, though, those clouds start to break apart. We move toward more and more sunshine. Mid-60s out by the coast. We will favor AM clouds and PM sun virtually every single day this week. So from today through Friday. 62 for the mountains, 82 out across the deserts. While these temperatures for this afternoon are on the slightly cooler than normal side, especially along the coast and inland, we'll get a nice boost for tomorrow through Friday. Tomorrow through Friday, those temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s and low 70s around the coast and our inland valley. So a more specific look, you can see the breakdown. Santee and El Cajon making it to 68 this afternoon. 60 for La Jolla, 62 for PB, 66 for San Diego, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, and San Ysidro shooting for 64 this afternoon. 55 up at Palomar Mountain, a bit cooler. Fallbrook going for 66 along with Vista and San Marcos. And then across the mountains and deserts, things are particularly cool. You got Julian at 59, you got Mount Laguna at 57, but then Borrego Springs and Ocotillo Wells enjoying their day in the 80s. On the 5-day forecast, this is what we talk about with that temperature warm-up that we'll see for tomorrow that takes us back to the upper 60s and low 70s out by the coast and inland for Tuesday. Thursday all the way through Friday, but it does seem like each morning we'll still encounter some low cloud cover and then PM sunshine. Let's check in on what drive times look like outside right now. We have one crash that did just pop up on the 5 freeway. That seems to be the only one we're watching for and hasn't caused any major backups in either direction. However, Coronado Bridge is still quite slow and backed up, especially from the 5 southbound into Coronado, as well as now the 805, starting to see a little bit of congestion out there. Let's take a look at your border wait times, where it's a 60-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry. Otay Mesa Port of Entry is going to run you about 100 minutes, should be slower across the Otay Mesa Port of Entry, about an hour 40 overall.